You could reach exactly the right person at the right company in exactly the right buying window and still get completely ignored. I've watched hundreds of salespeople and teams discover trigger events and intent data, and they get excited. They start reaching out with the perfect timing, and they hear nothing, crickets. And then they conclude, oh, this whole thing doesn't work. And they go right back to blasting a huge list of people that aren't even in their target market. In this video, I'm gonna load you up with everything you need to make it work. We'll start by showing you the one piece they were actually missing, the three-part message structure that turns a well-timed touch into an actual conversation. Next, I'll take you through 3 fully written examples you can model today, the 5 mistakes that break it, and then finally the part almost nobody teaches, what to do when they actually reply. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Brian Higgins. I am the AI for Sales guy, and I help founders and revenue leaders build AI sales systems that actually put meetings on the calendar. If you've been here for a while, welcome back. You know all we talk about here is building sales systems, not just adding more people. Listen, your pipeline shouldn't depend on how hard your team grinds every day. It should run on a system. So instead of paying people to chase leads all day, your closers are waking up to book meetings, and instead of scaling payroll, you're scaling your infrastructure. If you care about building or leading revenue teams, you're in the right place. Be sure to like and subscribe below so you don't miss a thing. Let's jump into it. Here's the mistake. And if you've ever experimented with intent data or like trigger events and decided they don't work, this is almost certainly what had happened. You learned that timing matters. Maybe you watched my last video on buying signals. Maybe you bought a system that had some intent data or a tool that was built for intent data. And maybe you just started paying attention to job changes in your feed and you started reaching out at generally better moments. Right person, right window. And then you took the exact generic message you'd been blasting before and you pointed it at these better time prospects, crickets. So you concluded signals don't work either. The signal helps, but it's almost never the problem. The message was, because it ignored the actual signal. So just to recap, if you're brand new to this idea, here's the 60-second version from the last video of why timing matters at all. And if you haven't had a chance to check out that video, you can see it up in the top there. But at any moment, only about 3% of your market is actively buying. Chet Holmes proved it for years. Companies broadcast the moment they enter into a buying window. A new sales leader arrives, a hiring surge that starts, a funding round lands. Those broadcasts are called signals, and they tell you when to reach out. If you want the full breakdown, that's the previous video on this channel. Be sure to go check it out. This video today is what happens next, because timing alone is not enough. Here's the principle, and it's worth writing down. Timing gets you the right to be there. Relevance earns the reply. A signal tells you when to show up. The message has to prove you understand the moment that they're in. Miss either half, and ultimately you lose. Think about what's actually happening on the other end. For example, a VP who just started a new role is living inside that transition. It is the most alive thing in their professional world right now. And their inbox is full of generic pitches, asking them to book a meeting. It'll only take 15 minutes. That ultimately could have been sent to anyone at any time about anything. And then one message arrives that speaks to exactly where they are this week. Which one gets the reply? It's not even close. That's the entire game here, and most teams quietly lose it by taking good timing and pairing it with a message that could have gone to their entire list. So let's break down the actual structure. 3 parts, and the skeleton itself never changes. Part 1, the signal reference. You open by naming the specific thing that happened. 1 sentence, observational. That single sentence does an enormous amount of work, because it proves you're paying attention to them specifically, and it separates you from every generic pitch in their inbox instantly. 2 rules here, and they matter. First, it has to be genuinely specific. Congrats on the new role, reads as automated. Congrats on stepping into the CRO seat. That jump after 4 years running the mid-market team is a big one, reads as human. Specificity is the tell. Second, don't fake it. If you open with a signal reference and then the rest of your message could have been sent to anyone, you've broken the promise the first line made, and it actually reads worse than no personalization at all. Part 2 is the bridge. You connect the signal to a problem or opportunity that signal created. This is where your expertise shows, because you're demonstrating that you understand not only what their moment implies, not just that you noticed it. It's a sentence where a prospect decides you might actually know their world and what you're talking about. And then part 3, most people get this wrong. This is the low friction offer. Don't pitch on the first message. An offer of something genuinely useful and easy to say yes to open up the conversation. You have to lead with value first and ask for nothing but a yes to be able to send them that value. And notice what's not in the structure. There's no paragraph about your company. There's no feature list. There's no 15 minutes of your time ask in the first message. First message has 2 jobs: prove relevance and open a conversation. The call comes later, and it comes easier because of it. Now, let me show you the structure actually working across 3 different signals, because seeing it once isn't enough. You need to see it flex. First, the job change. Hi, Sarah. Congrats on stepping into the CRO role. Saw the announcement last week. New revenue leaders usually inherit a pipeline that looks better on paper than it actually is. And the first 90 days is when that gets found out. I put together a short breakdown of how a couple of teams got ahead of exactly that. Want me to send it? Look at what each piece did. The signal reference is specific. The announcement last week. The bridge names the problem her moment just created, not the product I sell. And the offer is useful, and it costs her absolutely nothing to say yes. Nothing about me, nothing about my company, and definitely no calendar for 15 minutes to jump on. Second, the hiring surge. Another example here. So, hey, Marcus, notice you've got 3 SDR openings up this month. That's a real ramp. Teams scaling outbound that fast usually hit the same wall. The new reps burn the good accounts, learning on the job. And ramp time quietly becomes a bottleneck. I wrote up how a few teams protected their pipeline through exactly that phase. Useful, same skeleton, completely different conversation. Because the bridge speaks to what a hiring surge implies, not to what I sell. Let's do another one. Say funding round. Hi, Pat. Congratulations on the Series A. Saw the announcement. The next 2 quarters are usually when the board starts asking what the growth engine actually looks like. And outbound tends to be built in a hurry. I put together a breakdown of the sequencing mistakes that funded teams make in that window and how to skip them. Want it? And notice what I did not do with the funding signal specifically, because this one has a trap in it. I didn't congratulate and pitch them. Everyone does that. And funded companies' inbox is a war zone for 2 weeks after the announcement. I bridged to what the funding implies 90 days out, which is exactly where the crowd is not. Now, you take those 3 examples, you could write your own version for any signal in your market. Name the moment, bridge to what it implies, offer something useful. Now let's go to the negative examples, because these teach us just as much, and I see them constantly. Mistake number 1 is fake personalization. Pulling their company name into a template and calling it matched. Here's the test. If your message still makes sense with the signal sentence deleted, it's not a match. Mistake number 2, pitching in message 1. We talked about this. The moment you start describing your product in the first message, you convert from a peer who noticed something about them into a vendor who wants something from them. And their guard goes up and your chances are very little. The pitch comes after they engage, not before. Mistake number 3, the stale signal. If you reference a job change that happened 8 months ago or a funding round from last year, that's called a stale signal, is worse than none at all, because it proves you're running on old data. Job change windows are hottest in the first few weeks after they happen. Funding, max a month or 2. Know your windows. Mistake number 4, the overlong opener. If your message needs scrolling, it's a memo, not a message. 3 parts, a few short sentences, respect the person's time and the medium you're sending it in. Mistake number 5, asking for time before giving value. Got 15 minutes this week is a cost, not an offer. Lead with something they get to keep, whether or not they ever talk to you. Here's the line to take from this video. Timing without relevance is still noise. Timing plus relevance is a conversation. The signal earns you the moment. The message has to earn the reply. Now the part almost nobody teaches, because a reply is not a book call. And this is exactly where most people fumble the whole thing. If the reply is yes, then you send exactly what you promised promptly, with 1 sentence of context and no pitch attached. This is a trust moment. The resource has to actually be good, by the way, and stapling a calendar link to the delivery undoes everything the approach just built. Deliver it clean. Then a few days later or the following day, follow up with a genuine question about their situation, something the resource naturally raises. That question starts the real conversation, and the call proposal comes out of it naturally. Sounds like this is live for you, worth a short call to talk through your specific setup. That call ask lands completely different than it would have if you sent it in message one, because now you've earned it. You've helped them in some way. You've enlightened them. You've expanded their awareness. Now, if the reply is a question about you and what to do, answer it directly and briefly, 1 or 2 sentences, not an essay, and turn it back to their situation. Curiosity about you is obviously a great signal, but the conversation stays about them until you've built the value. And if you start getting replies like, not right now, understand that that's a good outcome, not a rejection. They engage with you, say no problem, offer to keep sending them things that are worth having, and put them into the follow-up rhythm, which brings me to follow-up, because one message is not a strategy. Let's look at what most follow-up is realistically. It's just louder asking, hey, just bumping this. Any thoughts on the last message? Bumping this to the top of your feed. Every one of those messages says the exact same thing. I want something from you, and that's how you burn the lead. Value-driven follow-up says the opposite. Every touch delivers something worth having, whether or not they ever reply. The rhythm, your signal matched openers, a value touch about a week later, then another genuine relevant touch every, say, 3 to 6 weeks. Not daily, not desperate, just present and top of mind. And let's look at a value touch because it's important to understand what it would look like. Hi, Sarah, no reply needed on the last note. Saw 2 of your competitors just posted heads of partnerships in the same month. That usually means a channel push is coming in your space. Figured you want it on your radar. That's it. No ask, no calendar link, just proof that having you in her network is worth something. And remember the pyramid from the last video. Most windows just haven't opened yet, but when it does, you're not a stranger. You're the person who's been quietly useful to them. That's the long game. The volume crowd can't copy, because a connection isn't a one-shot transaction. Once someone accepts your LinkedIn connection, they're in your network, essentially forever, unless you piss them off. Now, one more piece of nuance before the exercise that I'm going to give you, because your market size changes the calculus, changes the numbers. If you sell into a huge market, you can run this with moderate personalization and still win on consistency. If your market is a few hundred companies, every lead is precious. The personalization has to go deeper and wider. And burning a lead through crazy outreach actually costs you something real in smaller markets. Think about it. The smaller the market, the more the message match matters and the longer game you should really be playing. We run this exact structure across companies of all sizes, small operators getting their first, consistent pipeline to enterprise brands like Panasonic and Ericsson. And the thing that holds at every size is the principle, not the template. The words change per market, per signal, and per company, but the skeleton, the structure does not. I remember when we first started using signals on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden we started 3, 4, 5xing our connection rate, as well as our reply rate and appointments. And the reason that is because we were reaching out to people that were active on LinkedIn. First off, they had made changes, they had posted, they had commented and liked, and we built lists of people that were active on the platform. So the conversion to connection requests was much, much higher, as well as the reply rate, because it was relevant to them. This structure that I'm giving you has evolved over time and is what works now. All right, here's your assignment, and it's 2 short messages. Take the strongest signal in your market. If you ran the 10 deal look back from the last video, you already know what this is. And write the 3-part message for one real company on your list right now. Signal reference, bridge, low friction offer. Then write the value touch you'd send a week or 2 later. 2 messages. Now let me be blunt. Writing one matched message is easy. Doing it across every open window in your market every week, researching each company, confirming each signal, writing each bridge, running the value touch schedule across dozens of open threads and eventually hundreds and thousands without the quality drifting back to the template moment you get busy, that's a completely different problem. It's not a writing problem at that point, it's a capacity problem. And capacity is exactly where manual execution quietly goes to die, or at least it used to. More on that in the next video. Now, that's a great segue. If you don't want to build it and run this yourself, that's where we can come in. We actually build and implement what is essentially your AI SDR, your sales development rep, the signal-based targeting, the message matching, and the execution, so your team wakes up to qualified conversations instead of trying to create them manually. We essentially build the infrastructure for you and help you manage it. The fastest way to see if it's even a fit is to book an AI sales strategy call where we help you build a signal report. We start the signal report prior, we finish it on the call, and the actual accounts in your market hitting buying signals right now will be shared with you in terms of volume. We give you an honest evaluation of really how many appointments you can expect in a month using this kind of outreach method based on your signals, your offer, your track record. That report is ultimately yours to keep whether you work with us or not. The link's in the description if you want to learn more. And the full written playbook from this series, every framework, all three of these messages written out in physically in writing, the exercise is also free in the description too if you wanted to go check that out. Now, if you're getting value from this series, go ahead and subscribe because everything on this channel is about building a sales system and ultimately it helps other people find us. Just understand this, your prospects aren't ignoring you because outreach is dead. They're ignoring messages that ignore them. Speak to the moment they're actually in and the conversation stops feeling cold for you and for them. So now you know when to reach out and exactly what to say, which leaves the last question everyone actually wants answered. What does this produce? How many sales calls am I going to get next month based on this number of signals? How many can I realistically book for my specific business? Will this work? There is actually a math number that you can put together, and it's all about that in the next video. I'm going to run the actual math with you a couple times on two very different businesses, including the one number in the formula that almost everyone dramatically overestimates about themselves. And it happens to be the exact number AI just rewrote the playbook for. Go check it out. I'll see you on the next video.